Creighton riding a 6-game conference win streak. They have not lost in the conference since December 14th. And with that, we welcome you courtside in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Matt Schumacher, the Creighton great Nick Bahe. Big storyline coming out of the Creighton program. Marcus Zegarowski, Nick, out for the second straight game. But as we saw against St. John's last week, that has not slowed down this high-powered Creighton team.
There's no question Zegarowski's absence is a big one, but Creighton's far from just a one-man show. It's the balance and the unselfishness that sets Creighton's team apart. They all can score, and they all can pass. And, Matt, when you add that with the fact that they're an experienced group, you got one of the most explosive offenses in all of college basketball.
Here are the starting lineup, sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Sharif Mitchell on the left side of your screen, making his second start of the season, Nick, in place of Marcus Zegarowski.
He's a defensive-minded point guard. He's going to be asked to run the show here inside Hinkle Fieldhouse as we take a look at Marcus Zegarowski sitting on the sidelines.
Butler in the home white, Creighton in the powder blue road unis, and here we go from Indianapolis. Butler controls the tip.
And Matt, I think pace is the #1 thing to keep an eye on. Butler wants to slow this game down. Creighton wants a track meet, high-scoring affair, and one of the ways to slow the game down is have long offensive possessions for Butler.
Inside to Bryce Inzi, and gets it to go. First bucket goes down for the Butler senior.
And LaVall Jordan, I asked him, how do you control pace? He said, got to play in the paint and convert. So just like the doctor ordered from LaVall Jordan, Bryce Inzi scores early.
There's Mahoney in the lane. Back out to Ballack, a deep three. And the rebound ripped down by Miles Tate. One of a number of freshmen getting lots of playing time this year for a Butler team that has just been ravaged by injuries and a COVID pause.
With Miles Tate on the floor, he'll handle the basketball a lot. That takes a little bit off of Aaron Thompson's plate, although there's no question Aaron Thompson needs to get involved offensively and play make.
Tate for three. Knocks it down from the left side. Good start for the Bulldogs, who have not lost to Creighton at home since January 31st, 2017.
That's how fast it can happen, Matt. And if you're Butler, you have to sprint back and get organized quickly. Because Creighton, make or miss, they are looking to push and hunt shots from the three-point line. Mahoney gets an easy one.
There's Jair Bolden. Been a scoring machine for Butler this year, and he gets going early, averaging over 14 points per game.
You know, it's not easy as a graduate transfer to come in and fit in right away, but Jair Bolden has done just that.
And a foul underneath. I believe that'll go against Bolden on the entry pass. Greg McDermott told us, partner, he feels like he's seeing better team basketball from this Creighton club than he's seen in a very long time.
Yeah, that's saying something, because you've had multiple top 10 teams since Greg McDermott's arrived in Omaha. But this group, the combination of experience, scoring power, unselfishness, and improved on defense is really impressive.
There's Damian Jefferson. Saved by Bishop, and he chucks it out of bounds. And they'll go back to the Butler Bulldogs, led by fourth-year head coach LaVall Jordan, who said, look, it's been an emotional roller coaster this season. We need really everybody to step their game up just a bit more. But he's confident in his young guys who are starting to get things rolling a little bit in the backcourt.
Yeah, I like what he said, that he's telling the guys they got to be process-oriented, not results-oriented. And if you are doing things right on the practice floor, eventually it's going to reveal itself in wins on the court.
Here's Aaron Thompson, who missed 5 games with a knee sprain suffered against Villanova. And a good rebound for Bishop. Sharif Mitchell pushing. Mitchell gives it up to Bishop, and a strong take to the rack for Bishop.
Great play from Sharif Mitchell, just simple pick-and-roll basketball. Mitchell not near the shooter or scorer of Zegarowski, but he's a guy that's got good vision. You saw that there, hitting the pocket pass.
Miles Tate off the back iron. Creighton's last loss December 14th against Marquette at home, and it's an offensive foul against Christian Bishop.
Offensive foul, number 13, Christian Bishop.
And always a little concerning. Bishop is a little foul prone. Whenever he gets an offensive foul, it's always a little concerning. But the big 7-foot freshman Ryan Kalkbrenner will check in. Kalkbrenner has done a great job of providing rim protection that Creighton really hasn't had for a couple of years. Number 32 in the light blue.
22 blocks, third amongst freshmen in the country right now. Greg McDermott said we're just seeing him grow up every day right before our eyes, and almost surprisingly so. Not just his defense, but his offensive output. How about that move from Aaron Thompson, looking pretty spry on that knee.
A little stop and go. Got initially cut off on the baseline and acted like he was going to relent and pull out, but instead he pushes the gas and hits the corner. Good play from Aaron Thompson.
9-5 lead early for Butler. Mitchell walled off by Tate. Here's Kalkbrenner battling with Bryce Golden. Under 10 on the timer. Ballack gives it up to Mitchell. And he drills a three just before the buzzer.
Sharif Mitchell shooting the basketball much better from the three-point line. 6 of 13 on the season this year. But you still want to dare him to make shots. You'd much rather run at Ballack and give Mitchell a triple than allow Ballack to line one up.
Great to have Chuck Harris back in the lineup for Butler as Tate crashes into the lane and draws a foul. 2 shots coming for the Dogs. How about this start for Butler, leading by 1, Nick Bob?
It's a great start for LaVall Jordan's group, and Aaron Thompson, who missed 5 games with an injury, he's back. Start, stop, start again, and a layup off the window. And then on the other end, Sharif Mitchell getting his second start of the season, drilling a triple. Welcome back to Hinkle Fieldhouse, and Marcus Zegarowski, the preseason Big East Player of the Year, out for the second straight game. So how does the game change? Well, let me show you here offensively how much space isn't there when Zegarowski's off the floor. So watch when the ball goes into Kalkbrenner. I want you to keep an eye on Miles Tate. He's going to stay on the lap of Ryan Kalkbrenner, and he's not going to be pressed out on the three-point line to Sharif Mitchell. So Kalkbrenner can't make an offensive move. See how Tate is just sitting in the gap, sitting in the gap? Well, if that's Marcus Zegarowski, he's got to stay attached to the three-point line, so Kalkbrenner can't get a one-on-one post-up opportunity. The defensive assignments change when that guy's not on the floor.
Zegarowski, we thought might have a chance to play today. He warmed up pretty hard for about an hour and a half before tip-off, but then we were told just before tip he will sit for a second straight week. And, you know, obviously, as you just illustrated, that does affect the offense. But as we saw against St. John's, they still had 5 guys in double figures and 8 dudes with at least 2 assists in that game.
Yeah, again, they're far from a one-man show, but there's no doubt that Zegarowski is the MVP of the team.
Yep.
And with Sharif Mitchell on the floor, he's on the bench now, but ball screen coverage can change a little bit for Butler. You can go under some of those screens. You can not get drug away from the roll man. But that guy right there, he looked good in the little warm-ups we saw, Matt, which is good to see. With Greg McDermott just being careful with his superstar point guard working him back.
Yeah, they've got a couple of really big home games coming up. Providence on the 20th and then Connecticut on the 23rd. And he said straight up right now, it's just all about getting him back to 100%.
Yeah, for that, he called it that stretch run. Need Zegarowski fully healthy and ready to rock for the stretch run in February and March.
Dump down to Kalkbrenner, knocked down, no call. And it's knocked out of bounds. It'll stay right here with the Blue Jays.
Well, you know, I just illustrated Miles Tate's good awareness defensively. There's another good example. He was collapsed inside, just created a lot of traffic for that high-low opportunity for Kalkbrenner. And LaVall Jordan has raved about the IQ of his freshman Miles Tate. You're seeing that defensively.
Called him a sponge. Just picks up on the schemes way quicker than any other freshman he's seen in his time at Butler. Damian Jefferson left it off the front end. Ripped down by Enzi, and here comes Aaron Thompson.
See if Chuck Harris can get in the flow of things coming off that bone bruise in his knee. Certainly a capable three-point shooter. He's got the ball now.
Did not play against St. John's last week, and Butler's loss on the road. Enzi right down to Golden. Going up against a 7-footer. Finds a flashing Thompson who draws a foul, and 2 shots coming for the Butler point guard.
So smart. Aaron Thompson, not a three-point shooter, so instead of just standing in the corner, he back cuts. And Damian Jefferson got caught ball watching. Watch Jefferson. He's watching the ball. Thompson cuts baseline. Shot fakes the 7-footer. Now he's at the line.
Thompson, the emotional leader of this team. And LaVall Jordan told us he's a coach not only on the floor, but off of it. And told us a pretty funny story. They were coming back on the bus, and he's doing the coaching when LaVall Jordan is trying to do a film session.
Yeah, he walked Miles Tate all the way through the entire film session and coached him the whole time. And that's so impactful when your senior leader can be an extension of the head coach.
Jefferson whipping it in to Kalkbrenner, and a foul on the entry pass.
I'll tell you what, Matt, that's a heck of a pass from Damian Jefferson. Yeah. And when you look at his numbers, everything's improved. But most notably, I think his passing has gotten dramatically better. He's getting into the lane. He's making great decisions. He's under control. Damian Jefferson has been arguably Creighton's best player so far this season.
And certainly one of, if not, their most improved players from a season ago.
Absolutely. You know, we talk about his passing and how that's improved, but his three-point shooting has also taken a big leap as well. And you look at his numbers right there. I mean, 22% last season to 43%. And last year, Matt, if there was one guy on the floor you could kind of help off of, it was Damian Jefferson. Well, we just showed you those numbers. You want to dare that guy to try to score and shoot? I don't think so. So they just put so much pressure on you at all 5 spots.
And that's just his offensive numbers. He also leads the Big East in steals per game this year with just over 2. 19 steals total. That equals what he had all of last season, and they've only played 11 games.
A well-rounded player.
3-point lead for the Bulldogs. 6 minutes gone in the first half. Kalkbrenner helping on Harris. Harris left wide open. And knocked out of bounds. Bulldog basketball underneath.
But you're seeing what Aaron Thompson is doing off penetration. He's back cutting. He got to the line a couple of possessions ago. There was able to back cut, and that collapsed the defense. You have to understand who you're guarding. Although he's not a three-point shooter, you have to see man and ball.
Sharif Mitchell checking back in for Creighton, starting for the injured Marcus Zagorowski. Long floater, left short by Thompson. And here comes Mitchell. Alex O'Connell, the Duke transfer, checking in as well for Creighton. Blow by for Jefferson. Hello, right to the rack.
And just great recognition. Got his defender peeking at the ball screen, so he refused it. Hit that little driving seam away from the ball screen and got all the way to the rack.
Butler, no field goals in the last 3 minutes. Started the game 3 for 3. They've since gone 1 for 5. Stifling perimeter defense for Creighton. Great battle underneath. John Michael Malloy getting tied up with Kalkbrenner. And that's the second foul on the Creighton 7-footer.
And that's a tough one. That's a good play from John Michael Malloy, though. And that's what he needs to do as a player. Come in and attack every rebound with great, relentless aggression. And him and Kalkbrenner got tied up. Kalkbrenner gets called for that second personal foul, and that's an important one. Now Bishop back on to the floor.
Trying to get Bolden loose. He's not taken a 3 yet in this game. Long 2, and Bolden leaves it short.
So far, Creighton has not gotten their pace going to the likes of which they want to see.
Mitchell. There's a 3 from Bolden, too heavy.
Dodging a bullet there. Mitch Ballock needed to have the point of pickup be beyond the three-point line for Bolden.
Antoine Jones out to O'Connell. Tipped out of play. Back to the Bulldogs.
Returning for the Dogs, 12, Miles Tate.
So far, Creighton has gotten some decent looks from 3, just haven't been able to knock their last couple attempts down. But so far, if you're Butler, you got to be really pleased with the complexion of the game, the pace of it. It's going to be the #1 order of business to slow this game down. And thus far, Butler's done that.
Wilmeth passes up a 3. Under 10 to shoot. In the hands of Jair Bolden. And now Golden left open. He's still 0 for this season from downtown. And Nick, you really feel like if Butler has a chance to win this game, he's got to knock down a couple of those.
Because there's no doubt that Creighton's going to dare, whether it's Nc or Golden, to knock down those shots. And again, Golden, you said it, he's got 0 for 14 for 3 on the season. But you got to step in and take a few of those. You don't want to fall in love with them, but that's a pretty good look for a guy that I know LaVall Jordan's got some confidence in letting some of those rip.
Mahoney driving, turnaround jumper, no. Bishop fighting for it, tried to throw it off Harris, but couldn't get it. Butler still leading, 13-12. Creighton has not won at Hinkle Fieldhouse since January 2017. Butler trying to keep that streak alive. Really, the key is we have to defend better in the first half. Those numbers don't lie.
Hey, that's jaw-dropping when you look at that right there. Minus 56 scoring margin in the first half. And the best way I could explain that is 4 of the top 8 guys in minutes played are freshmen. And oftentimes freshmen don't understand the level of focus and intensity that's needed on the defensive end of the floor right out the gates. And so I think it's taken them about 15, 20 minutes to settle in. And once they have, they've been pretty solid, but can't dig a hole quite like they've dug themselves over this course of this season in the first half.
Yeah, 6 of their 7 losses, they've trailed at halftime by an average of 10 points. That is something they cannot afford against the 8th-ranked Bluejays of Creighton today.
And so far, you got off to a good start, but you can't relax. Creighton can put a run on you in a hurry.
Long 3 from Tate, knocked around. Jefferson tried to save it. Could not. And the officials are going to say it's Creighton basketball, much to the chagrin of the Butler team.
We'll see if Creighton can get Denzel Mahoney kind of involved here, trying to post him up a little bit. He's got to get rolling offensively.
Mahoney, long 2, short. He's coming off a career high 24 against St. John's on January 9th. In and out on the rhythm 3 for Bolden.
Man, but you go under a handoff, and he is stopping and letting it fly. The confidence is impressive.
Mahoney tried to slip. Instead, it's picked away by Chuck Harris. And he pops at the elbow and knocks it down.
That's not easy, Matt, to be dribbling as fast as you can and stop, get everything underneath you, be on balance to hit a little 14-footer. Good stuff from Chuck Harris.
Mahoney a 3. And Bryce Nc was all over Mahoney on that shot. Not giving him much room to work here in the first 10 minutes.
And if I'm Denzel Mahoney, you missed a couple of shots. Go get fouled. Go attack the basket. Get to the free throw line. Find your rhythm there.
Nc going to work on Jones. Quick hands from Jones. Bishop on the floor. Ties it up. And the possession arrow points to the Bluejays.
Matt, when you're pushing it as fast as you can, to stop and be on balance isn't easy. And watch, Harris is pushing it hard, and he's just surveying and look where the defense gives him. No one stops him, so he's able to stop, get everything underneath him, and go up and knock down the shot. I mean, 11 points per game as a freshman's impressive.
LaVall Jordan said he is supremely confident, particularly for a freshman, and is often the guy in practice in those tough late game situations that they simulate. He wants to be the guy with the ball or defending the guy with the ball.
And these freshmen are in a good spot in terms of they're allowed to play through mistakes this year. I mean, they're not coming out. LaVall Jordan needs them on the floor so they can play with confidence.
How about another freshman, Tate, getting in the grill of Mahoney to beat the buzzer. Cannot. And Nc hauls it down.
Right.
Creighton 0 for 6 in the last 4 minutes from the floor.
But you said it. How about Miles Tate challenging Denzel Mahoney?
Golden lost the handle momentarily. Shuffles it to Thompson, who finishes through contact.
Aaron Thompson has done such a good job moving without the ball. It's an area you didn't see a lot because he's been a point guard throughout his career, and now he's off the ball.
Jones heavy on the three. Creighton now 2 for 8 from downtown. It's a team that typically shoots over 40%. Thompson heavy. Johnson fouling Inzi on the rebound attempt.
You know, Matt, we talk about these Butler freshmen, and obviously there's been a couple of talented guys out with knee injuries. Carlos Scooby Johnson out for the season. Jacoby Coles out, but Wilmoth, Tate, Harris have played a lot of basketball for Butler this year and done a really nice job in producing. And you know, the confidence they're allowed to play with, because they're not coming off the floor. I mean, there's just nobody that can really relieve them right now, so they can that frees you up mentally, Matt.
Miles Tate played all 40 minutes against St. John's on January 12th.
Because I always felt like one of the hardest things to adjust to when you get to college is all of a sudden you're not playing the whole game. You know, you're playing in spurts. Oftentimes freshmen come in, they're playing 10, maybe 15 minutes a game. And that's a big adjustment when you go from being the man, playing the whole game, taking all the shots, to a limited role. Some guys struggle with that, but with this group right now, these freshmen are able to get on the floor and stay on the floor.
It's just the third time since the 08-09 season that Butler has had 3 freshmen in the starting lineup at one point. By the way, that 08-09 team, the freshmen on that roster, Shelvin Mack, Gordon Hayward, Ronald Norad, back-to-back NCAA tournament championship appearances.
Yeah, I'm looking at the banners as we speak.
So it bodes well for the future of this program. Butler with his largest lead, 19-12.
Jet Canfield, walk-on point guard, checked into the game for Creighton.
Jamian Jefferson gets a bucket. He has a pair.
Well, Matt, if you're Creighton, you got to settle in on this end of the floor and string together some stops and some rebounds so you can get out and run. The only way you can run is if you rebound the rock and get some stops. That's what needs to happen, because the pace of this thing is too slow if you're Creighton.
Thompson, floater, leaves it up for Golden, and a foul of the shooting variety. Golden will get a pair when we come back. Damian Jefferson trying to keep Creighton in this ball game.
Great first step, great right-hand driver. Nothing really going offensively, so Jefferson drives and finishes.
Good Sports are restoring play for kids and the programs that serve them through donations of brand new sports equipment. Text the word play to the number on your screen to help keep kids in the game. Butler right in this game, leading the Creighton Bluejays. And Nick, Laval Jordan told us one of his keys, we have to score in the paint. They've doubled up Creighton, 12-6 on points in the paint.
Well, and the reason that's important is oftentimes if you control the paint, you control the pace. And it all comes back to that. This game's played right where Butler wants it. It's a little bit slower. And the other thing that's important, too, again, Marcus Zagorowski out for the second straight game, and Sharif Mitchell has 2 personal fouls. So handling the basketball now, Jet Canfield having to run the point guard spot for the Blue Jays.
3 Blue Jays with 2 fouls, and still 7.5 minutes to go in the half. Butler already shooting free throws in the bows. Good tip pass inside the Bishop with a grown man jam.
Well, great anticipation and feel from Jones. And he has done a really good job fitting in as a Memphis transfer. He was not the greatest decision maker at Memphis, but he's done a nice job. He's got 25 assists and only 8 turnovers on the season.
Said he was really motivated by the humbling experience at Memphis. That was a dude, Nick, who was the #1 rated shooting guard in the country as a senior. Didn't play much, then sat all of last year watching his friends dominate on the college level. And now he's got his time to shine.
And there's no question that Jones is a talented guy, but first of all, it's good play from Jet Canfield. And don't get it twisted, Canfield's played a little bit in his career, and he is a guy that Greg McDermott trusts, but that's just great feel from Jones, understanding in the air, anticipating where the defense is shifting. The only way you make a pass like that is if you got a high basketball IQ, and Jones does.
Canfield's played in 8 games this year for the Blue Jays as a walk-up. Valek floating it up. Oh, my goodness.
Well, you've seen twice now on penetration, lobs to the rim. That's something Creighton loves to do. And Bishop can play above the rim.
Christian Bishop in his bag here in the first half. 6-0 run for the Creighton Blue Jays. And Bishop has 6 points, 4 of which coming in back-to-back possessions. Tate on the floater, no. And Golden gets the offensive board. Tate, nothing but nylon on the second chance.
A great job by Bryce Golden. Just a bull in a china shop in the paint. Gets the rebound and gets a second chance opportunity.
21-18, just under 6 minutes to go in the first half.
You got to be careful about helping on penetration if you're Butler. You've seen twice now some lobs to the 10.
And ripped away by Bryce Golden in the lane. Zip pass down to Enzi. No, and then hammered on the offensive rebound, and he will get a 1-and-1.
And again, a big part of Creighton's offense is the penetration lobs to the rim. Usually they're in the pick and roll variety, but there you see Bishop coming off the short corner. But this is where Butler's got to win the game. They got to own the paint, own the glass. And a good little shot fake, one-dribble pull-up for Miles Tate.
Big substitutions for the Bulldogs. Aaron Thompson coming back on the floor, as is John Michael Malloy.
You look at Enzi, he's got off to a little bit of a slow start this year. I think there's been an adjustment period with Kamar Baldwin's graduation. All of a sudden now Enzi skyrockets to the top of that scouting report defensively, and that takes a little while where everybody's focus is taking you away, and he's starting to settle in a little bit as this season progresses.
In addition to that, he lost 10 pounds during Butler's 21-day layoff, in which they weren't even able to practice or lift as a team for 17 days.
I don't think we've talked about how hard that is enough. I mean, to sit out, not be able to practice, get out of shape, get out of rhythm, and then have to ramp it back up in the season is super challenging.
Mahoney has had defenders all over him this afternoon on the perimeter. Meanwhile, Mahoney knocks down his first 3, and that's just the 3rd triple for Creighton this afternoon.
Well, we brag on Enzi, but the reality is guarding Mahoney on the perimeter is a tall task for him. And if you're Mahoney, you got to drag him away from the basket and do your work from beyond the arc.
Golden on the baseline, silky.
That's over a 7-foot outstretched arm, too. Good look in the open floor. That's how Creighton wants to play.
Golden again. And Jair Bolden, typically a really good 3-point shooter. Still scoreless from downtown. He's 0 for 3.
That was one of the things that Greg McDermott told us was guarding Bolden and not allowing any easy looks. They've had a lot of different Blue Jays on him, whether it's Sharif Mitchell, Denzel Mahoney, Damian Jefferson, and they've done a pretty good job staying attached to his body. Gonna take a look at...
Yeah, Laval Jordan asked the officials to take a look at the monitor, and while they do, we will take a break in Indianapolis. Just over 4 minutes left in the first half. Butler leads by 4. 16 times. I think they worked on that in practice a little bit. Just 1 turnover so far against a very good Creighton team, and they forced 4 turnovers of the Blue Jays, scoring 6 points off of those.
Well, if you're Butler, you've checked a lot of the boxes that you needed to check to be in this game and win this game. You've controlled the pace, you've controlled the paint, and like you said, you've taken care of the basketball against a Creighton team that is much improved in their disruption defensively, getting steals, blocking shots. But again, about a year ago in February, it was a close game in Omaha, and all of a sudden Creighton put a spurt on them at the end of the first half and blew the game open. So if you're Butler, you cannot relax at all.
Creighton has the top-ranked offense in the country for a reason, even with Zagorowski out for the second straight game due to that hamstring injury.
There's no question. I think you can feel his absence in this game. You didn't really feel it as much in that St. John's game, but you can feel where Creighton has missed Zegarowski in his playmaking and shot making.
Jefferson walled off, turnaround jumper. No, Kalkbrenner fighting for the board. And a foul underneath Creighton basketball.
Job by Kalkbrenner being physical. Yeah, 7-foot freshman has really made an impact on both ends of the floor for Creighton this year.
And being physical with those 2 fouls. He sat out a lot of this first half because of those 2 quick ones early on. Now it's Damian Jefferson with the rock. Kick out to Canfield. And he couldn't handle it. Out of bounds for Butler.
But if Zegarowski's on the floor, guess who's in the corner? That's Zegarowski. Right. That's not Canfield. So his defender can't be planted in the lane that creates all that congestion for Jefferson on the drive. And there's a domino effect with Zegarowski's absence.
Certainly. And at the end of the day, as good as Creighton is as a team, you're still without the Big East preseason player of the year.
A guy that is an all-American type of point guard. So it makes a big difference.
Deep 3 for the freshman Harris. And here comes Mitch Ballack. He's been quiet tonight. Just 1 shot taken, no points. Mahoney fighting on the low block with Bolden, who will be charged with his 2nd foul.
I think if you're Denzel Mahoney, you got to keep on driving, post up if you got a smaller guard on you, whether it's Chuck Harris, Miles Tate, whoever. And Mahoney is a 6'5", 225, broad-shouldered guy that I think can draw fouls and get to the line if he's staying aggressive. Now they'll switch, and they got Enzi on him.
Looks more like a tight end than a basketball player. He's 6'11", wingspan, too.
You got to see him in person. I mean, he is a big dude when you see him live.
Greg McDermott just described him as incredibly physical.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
5 to shoot. Jefferson getting to the cup and drops it down. Great take for Jefferson, who now has 6.
You know, I think Mahoney or Jefferson, whoever's got a freshman on him, whether it's Harris or Tate, you got to take him into the post and go to work on those young guys. They're not physically capable of handling them from a strength standpoint.
Thompson backing down Ballack. And Golden still 0 for this year from downtown. 0 for 15. Mahoney. And Enzi rips down the board.
Good individual defense from Enzi. Slid his feet, contested the jump shot. Very nice.
Enzi, there was a foul off the ball. And it goes back to Butler, and Enzi will go back to the free throw line for the Dogs.
That's a mental mistake from Denzel Mahoney, going for a shot fake from Bryce Enzi. And he's only made 5 threes on the season. And Mahoney picks up another foul.
That's his 2nd. And so now you've got 4 Creighton Blue Jays with 2 fouls.
And the free throw line has been an issue for Butler. And that might be putting it mildly. They have really struggled. They're one of the worst in the country from the free throw line. I was going to brag on them. They were 6 of 7 from the free throw line so far today, make it 6 of 8.
Whistle. And the shot clock did not start when the ball was taken off the rim. The officials will take a look at the clock. Nick, this is a Creighton team that has not yet led in this game, which is remarkable because so far this year in the previous 12 games, Creighton has trailed just 20% of the time.
No, this has been an impressive. You got to give credit to Butler. Butler's come in, and like we've said, they've done all the things they've needed to do to make Creighton uncomfortable. But I just don't think there's any question that you can tell that the absence of Zegarowski is revealing itself as now.
Ballard's getting a little uniform change here.
And there's Zegarowski in 2nd straight game. Out with the hamstring injury, and Mitch Ballack had some blood on his jersey, so now he'll wear number 15.
Is he about to go off now from downtown?
We'll see.
Great roll to the basket, and Bishop just continues to work Butler down low. Bishop now with 8 points. That leads all scorers.
Greg McDermott, from points per possession standpoint, is the best out of a timeout. And that was kind of a de facto timeout. Great set on the slip and the finish.
3-minute scoring drought for Butler has allowed Creighton to tie it up with just over a minute and a half left in the first half at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Did you know that Geico's whole 15 minutes thing, that came from me? Really? My first idea was, in 1/4 of an hour, your savings will tower. Over you, figuratively speaking. But that's not catchy, is it? That's not going to swim about in your brain. So I thought, what about 15 minutes, 15%? Serendipity.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back to Hinkle Fieldhouse. Creighton utilizing slipping the on-ball screen. So what does that mean? Right before you set the screen here, freeze it right there. So as Golden's getting ready to hedge the screen, what is Bishop going to do? He's going to cut straight to the basket, and look at all that space. No one there. So as Bishop cuts, he's able to catch, he's able to finish. Good offensive set from the Creighton Bluejays, slipping the screen.
And he doesn't miss at the rim all too often. Leads the Big East in field goal percentage with 66%.
He is an efficient player.
Tied at 25. Golden passing up a 3. He's missed 3 already. Meanwhile, Harris knocks down a triple. And Harris with 5 points. Creighton's lowest scoring half this season, 33 against UConn back on December 20th. And pass picked away by Miles Tate. Here comes Aaron Thompson.
That's a heck of a finish, Matt. Yeah, that's a pretty good contest from Balak, but Aaron Thompson, tough.
8 points on 3 of 6 for the Butler senior. Under a minute to play.
He's all over the place right now.
Bishop throws it off Golden, and smartly so. It'll still be Creighton basketball.
This is something Creighton works on, defending layups at the rim, and Balak does it perfectly. But Miles Tate gets to steal, but watch as Balak's going to jump and put his arms to the sky, but Thompson doesn't shy away from it and goes through the contact. That's a senior showing his toughness.
And early in his career, Nick, not really known as a scorer because he didn't have to be. He had Kamar Baldwin and other guys around him like Sean McDermott.
Yeah, Keelan Martin in his career.
But has really had to embrace a new role in many ways, particularly given the adversity that Butler faced this year.
Yeah, when you go down the line of all the bad things that have happened to Butler this year, the COVID pause, all those things, arguably the most impactful thing has been Thompson's injury. And you look at it, 21 days out of the game, 17 days out of the practice. That is really tough. But Aaron Thompson missing 5 games makes a huge difference because he's the coach on the floor. They need his passing, they need his playmaking, but most importantly, they need his calming influence on all those young guys. So Thompson, I think as he gets his rhythm and flow back, Butler will too.
It's interesting you bring up that calming presence because Laval Jordan told us on our call before this game, we need more emotional balance. And he said that starts with me. But certainly having Aaron Thompson on the floor is huge in that effort.
Absolutely.
They got to go quickly. Balak with 5. Heaves a 3 from downtown. And the shot clock turned off.
And that cat right there, Aaron Thompson, did a heck of a job defending Balak, and now Butler can hold for 1. What a first half from the Bulldogs.
Largest lead was 7. Harris thought about a 3. Now pulls up and knocks it down. Nothing but net for the freshman Harris. And a heave at the buzzer misses. Butler leading the 8th-ranked team in the country, 32-25. It's just the second time all year, Nick Ba, that Creighton has trailed at the half, and it's their half stats sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. The thing that stands out to me, Nick, Creighton 3 for 11 from downtown, 6 turnovers.
Yeah, the 6 turnovers was problematic. The other thing that was problematic was foul trouble. Creighton has 3 different guys, Jefferson, Mitchell, and Ryan Kalkbrenner with 2 personal fouls. So playing without fouling is going to be important. And then the other reality is Marcus Zagorowski, we got to mention, he is out for the 2nd straight game. They need a guard to step up, whether it's Sharif Mitchell, Denzel Mahoney, Mitch Ballock. They need a Blue Jay to step up.
And we're seeing more cohesiveness from Butler. After all the layoffs, after all the injuries, 5 guys really contributing to the scoring punch in the first half.
It's a total team effort, as you see already off the ball. I think we got Damian Jefferson.
And that's his 3rd foul.
And Bryce Inzie drew that foul. That is the 5th foul Bryce Inzie has drawn today. That is a ton.
What's he doing?
Well, his physicality, he's a load. I mean, he's just initiating contact, and he's punishing switches and mismatches inside.
Now here he is for 3. Knocks it down to start the second half rather for the Bulldogs.
And 9 points now for the game, 5 rebounds. His physicality has loomed large for Butler.
First double-digit lead of the game for Butler. Jefferson right at Jair Bolden. They needed that one.
And Greg McDermott trusting Damian Jefferson to play with 3 personal fouls. Again, I think Jefferson and Mahoney posting up some of the smaller Butler Bulldog backcourt players is a pretty good area to go offensively if they get stuck in the half court.
By the way, Mitch Ballock has 24 back on. 15 didn't feel right, so he's got the original uniform back on as Bolden leaves it off the front end and rebounding in the hands of Christian Bishop, who had a great first half. Perfect from the floor, 4 for 4 with 8 points. And Mahoney, explosive first step and a little touch off the glass.
Well, Butler didn't get organized and got caught in a closeout. Golden doesn't have the foot speed to stay ahead of Mahoney, and Mahoney drives and scores. That's that transition offense that Creighton puts on.
Butler ended the first half on a 7-0 run. Inside to Enzi, rejected by Bishop. Golden on 2 second chances, no good.
Golden's got to finish one of those 2 opportunities. Look at Jefferson trying to post up Golden. Now he'll flow back to the perimeter.
Mahoney pops in the lane and knocks it down. A couple of quick buckets for Creighton. They look pretty good to start the second half.
There's a predicament for Butler. Are you putting Golden on Mahoney? Are you going to put Golden on Jefferson? There's not a great matchup for Butler in defending Jefferson and Mahoney, and Creighton's got to exploit that.
They are matchup nightmares no matter who they're playing in the Big East Conference.
No doubt about it.
Time dwindling. 6 to shoot. Enzi with 1.
And really get organized quick if you're Butler here.
Mahoney coast to coast, back the other way, and a chance at the 3-piece.
Looks like they're saying that a Butler Bulldog was in the restricted area potentially. Take a look at this. Is 6'5", 225 coming at you. As Bolden was sliding a little bit. Check, see if his heels, they might be on that line. Any way you slice it, you've seen early offense. Creighton pushing it. Butler did a great job in that first half getting organized early in possessions. They have not done a good job in the second half, and Creighton's made them pay.
8-0 run for the Blue Jays. Mahoney now in double figures with 12 points, and LeVallon Jordan's going to call a timeout. Well, Butler ended the first half with a 7-0 run. Creighton counters to start the second with an 8-0 run. We'll be right back after this.
Half in the first order of business. Transition defense. Take a look at Mahoney, and I want you to take a look at Bryce Golden. There's going to be a little exchange here, and all of a sudden, Golden is guarding. Freeze it right there. This is a long closeout. He is the one that's guarding Denzel Mahoney. That's a long closeout because you know he can shoot it. He's able to get all the way to the basket. Matt, you have to get organized and matched up early and make sure that you're attached to the three-point shooters. Even if you run them off the line, they're still able to get two.
If you're Butler in those types of situations, Nick, do you just let Mahoney take an open three?
No. In all reality, Golden did what he needed to do. He needed to run him off the three-point line. There probably needed to be another Bulldog in the driving gaps. But that's just that they put a lot of pressure on you in the open floor. Talking about Creighton. See a foul, it looked like.
I believe that went against Christian Bishop, which is just his second foul. But Creighton's gotten a lot of really good looks at the basket. They're 4 for 4 from the floor to start the second half.
They're really going with Mahoney and Jefferson offensively. I like the advantageous matchups that those guys have.
Butler 0 for its last 4, and it'll continue. Enzi misses, then the second chance, and he draws a foul. Gotta love that effort from your redshirt senior.
His physicality, Creighton just can't do anything with it right now. They just can't do anything with it, Matt. Enzi's drives to the basket, posts up, rebounds. He is playing hard, and this is now the 6th foul he's drawn in the game.
And now in 6 of his last 7 games, he's tallied double figures, but more impressive, Laval Jordan, and we told you this in the first half, he lost 10 pounds during their quarantine earlier in the year. And Laval Jordan said, of anyone, he has been relentless in his pursuit to get his mind, body, and skill back to where it needs to be to produce for this team.
Well, he is so important because, you know, we talked about his physicality, but he's skilled. He can pass at that front court spot. So there's no doubt that he's important.
Sharif Mitchell back in the game for Creighton, as is Antoine Jones. Mahoney, pull-up 3, knocks it down.
Mahoney has woke up.
15 points for the Southeast Missouri State transfer.
Zegarowski on the pine for the 2nd straight game. You know, somebody's got to step up, and Mahoney's starting to do just that. Again, he's got a good matchup on offense right now.
Butler on the wrong end of an 11-1 run, and they get it to their big man, Bryce Enzi. And the soft floor doesn't go down. Mahoney, another triple, back-to-back, and the first lead of the ball game for the Creighton Bluejays.
Creighton has gotten the pace going. They have pushed it, been relentless, hunting shots early in possessions, and Mahoney is feeling it.
Sharif Mitchell all over the freshman Miles Tate. 14-1 run, and that's rejected. Mahoney in the front court. And Ballack pulls it back out.
Creighton looked like that, an easy layup opportunity, but an errant pass got him disjointed.
And a foul off the basketball. How about this run from the Blue Jays, partner? 14-1 in favor of Creighton. Denzel Mahoney, 18 big ones at Hinkle. A man, Denzel Mahoney, is feeling it in the second half.
There's no question about it. He was a little bit slow in that first half, 2 of 8 from the floor, but he is 5 for 5 in this second half. And with Marcus Zegarowski sidelined for the 2nd straight game with a hamstring injury, someone needed to step up, and that man, Denzel Mahoney, has done just that.
12 points on 5 of 5 shooting to start the half. We've only played 5 minutes.
Man.
Here he is again, double teamed as he caught the ball. Jones on the pull-up.
And you might as well give an assist to Denzel Mahoney with attracting 2 different defenders, dropping it down to Jones. So all of a sudden, Creighton has found some rhythm, and his name is Denzel Mahoney.
And meanwhile, Butler 0 for its last 7. What can they do to get going offensively?
Got to play through Enzi. They got to find a way to keep getting the ball inside to Enzi and attacking with him.
Thompson creating. Golden. Second opportunity for Butler.
Job by Sharif Mitchell, who's been glued to Jair Bolden off the ball.
Golden has had a quiet night. 0 points, 0 for 5. Thompson tries a triple and missed everything. Jones has it knocked out by Aaron Thompson. Creighton ball with 24 on the timer. And Creighton has just blitzed Butler to start the half.
It doesn't feel like a lot of it has been transition.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people think transition, they think it's a 2-on-1 or 3-on-2. No, well, transition to me is also just early in possessions, pushing it and hunting shots early in the half court.
And I don't know about you, Nick, but to me, it just looks like Creighton is so much more aggressive with the basketball to start this half.
There's no question that without Marcus Zegarowski, it makes a difference. And while they played great against St. John, scored 97 points without Zegarowski, I mean, it can be an adjustment to try to learn to play without him, and they've adjusted here in the second half.
Jones, contact, no call. There's Jair Bolden. 16-1 run over the last 5 minutes and counting for the Blue Jays. Thompson, pull up. Off the backboard. And Golden on the second chance draws a foul.
Well, Butler needs to collectively catch their breath here, and stop the bleeding a little bit. A good place to do that is at the free throw line. And that's also something that Laval Jordan has talked to us about, is just that emotional balance, especially in games when you get punched a little bit. This is where a guy like Aaron Thompson's even more important, to kind of just get everybody back on centered and relaxed.
As you talked about in the first half, Butler, one of the worst in the country in free throw shooting. 326, and that's typically an area where Butler's very good.
And again, it's one thing about a free throw shoot. It's another thing when you're bad offensively, because it puts pressure on you. And that's the second time Creighton has run that little slip screen, and you've gotten 4 points out of it.
And now 4 points for the freshman Ryan Kalkbrenner. Biggest lead of the game for Creighton at 5. Who will it be for Butler to step up and score some much-needed buckets? Thompson to the lane, no. And numbers the other way for Creighton. Mahoney open. Why not? From the corner, knocks it down, and he has 21.
Well, instead of a 2-on-1 for a layup, Mahoney has not missed a shot in the second half, so he flares out to the three-point line and knocks it down. You see the importance of pace. Creighton has started to play a little bit faster, and the whole complexion of the game has changed.
Butler has been the victims of big runs from its opponents a number of times this season. None bigger than this one right now from Creighton. And the woes continue down on the low block for the Bulldogs. Butler 0 for its last 11. Mitchell, slippery. Now Ballack backing down Thompson. A lot of contact, no call, and Ballack goes right to the basket. And a flop. Yes, sir, on Aaron Thompson. Just trying to create some kind of momentum for Butler.
And Aaron Thompson, a good defender, but not really known for as a post defender. And oftentimes when you're down there as a guard, Matt, you realize you're not going to be able to play straight up. You're going to have to try and take a charge. And boy, Creighton has exploded here in this first 8 minutes of the second half. You see how far Ballack has played off of Thompson, and it's kind of gotten, he's going under a screen at the elbow. It's gotten Butler a little bit disjointed as well.
Harris, floater, over the 7-footer, no. Put back from Enzi is off the mark. Butler cannot buy a basket. Meanwhile, Creighton on a 23-3 run to start the half. And a foul goes against Chuck Harris.
Well, Matt, how about this Creighton offense in the second half, doing a little bit of everything, whether it's transition or in the half court, little slip screen for the freshman Ryan Kalkbrenner. And when you're hot, you might as well keep on rolling, and instead of going for an easy layup, you flare out to the three-point line. Mahoney buries it.
It's basketball is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Jeep, there's only one. Butler's got to get moving like the Bulldogs here, partner.
Yeah.
They trail by 10, and we're starting to see this high-powered offense come to life in the second half.
Hey, just look at that. The balance, the ability to pass the ball all reveals itself in scoring the rock. And the other thing this group is experienced. Yeah, and I asked Coach McDermott, where does that experience reveal itself? And the thing he said is, we don't panic. And on the road today, down 32 to 25, the Blue Jays didn't panic. And now look at them with a 10-point lead in large part because Denzel Mahoney has exploded.
And he's one of those experienced players transferring over from Southeast Missouri State. Big collision between Antoine Jones and Miles Tate, rather. And Jones still slow to get up.
Man, it's a big boy taking a hard fall. Jones just kind of got undercut. He got hard on that tailbone, but
Antoine Jones is 6'8", 220. Miles Tate, 6 foot and barely 200 pounds.
But he's staying in there. And now you got Chuck Harris on Denzel Mahoney, so you can be more physical with him.
And a three-point play coming perhaps for Denzel Mahoney, who is still perfect in the second half. 7 for 7.
Well, right now, Butler can't figure out who they want to put on Mahoney. They tried some bigger guys. That didn't work. So he put Chuck Harris on him. And he's almost got an opportunity for a three-point play here. Talking about the reigning sixth man of the year in the Big East Conference. He has stepped up big time this season.
And he ties a career high, which he set last week at St. John's. He is dialed in.
There's no doubt about it. Again, with Zagorowski out, someone's got to step up. And Mahoney has done that.
Butler has gone 0 for 13 since starting the half. 3 for 3. Thompson picking his way through the defense, and he will at least get a chance to shoot some free throws.
Well, right now, Creighton is playing off of Aaron Thompson. Whoever's guarding him usually is Mitch Ballock. He's got 2 feet in the lane, and Thompson, whether it's back cutting in the first half, he's got to figure out a way to continue to be involved. Did a good job just catching and driving hard on Ballock and got to the line here.
And the third foul on Antoine Jones. So some foul trouble for Creighton, although I doubt that they're too worried about that with the way that they've played offensively in this half.
I wonder, usually when Miles Wilmoth is in, they'll try to play some 3-2 zone. Butler will. Wonder if at some point, just to see if they can't get things disjointed a little bit for Creighton, if Butler's got that 3-2 zone in its back pocket.
Anything to disrupt this momentum. Creighton is 11 for 12 in the second half.
Aaron Thompson drawing the assignment on Denzel Mahoney.
Ballock off the mark, tipped into the hands of Thompson, and it's a foul, I believe, on Ryan Kalkbrenner, and that'll be his third.
That is just strength versus size, and Enzi understanding that he can't compete with 7 feet, so he's got to get low, box out. That's one that Kalkbrenner maybe needs to let go. You're not going to be able to try to back tap and tip out every opportunity, get a cheap foul, so he'll go sit out.
A lot of fouls early in this half, not even 10 minutes in.
And this is an area where Butler can potentially get back into the game, is getting to the free throw line here. They got to knock their opportunities down.
6 fouls aside, so 1 more and Butler will head to the bonus.
But Matt, look how far Ballock in the corner is guarding Thompson. He's way off him. He's got a foot in the lane. It just kind of plugs things up. He's underneath the basket. He can kind of be a free safety and help out with other guys.
Mahoney picks the pocket of Enzi. Bodies on the deck. Tate diving for it. And the foul goes against Sharif Mitchell. He can't believe it, and neither can Greg McDermott.
Well, I thought, if anything, I don't know what you saw, Matt. I thought Mitchell just kind of flopped and tried to kind of sell a foul, but really surprised that this is a foul on Sharif Mitchell.
And it's his third.
So good defense from Mahoney, but boy, that's a guy.
If anything, maybe on Miles Tate.
Yeah.
Instead, it's Tate heading to the line.
To me, both guys, that's a 50-50 loose ball. Both guys got equal right to it. It's a tough call on Sharif Mitchell.
So Mitchell will head to the bench. And now Jefferson, Mitchell, Kalkbrenner, and Jones all have 3 fouls.
But if you're Butler, what are you doing with Denzel Mahoney? Who do you want him matched up on? How are you handling screening actions? You got Miles Wilmoth on him. The freshman's got better size, but he probably doesn't have the lateral quickness. So if you're Mahoney, you do your work outside.
Mahoney pulls up. Heat check. First missed basket for Mahoney in the second half.
Well, he's earned it, hasn't he?
Meanwhile, Miles Tate rattles in and out. That's been the story for Butler over these first 10 minutes. No field goals for Butler since the 19-minute mark, Nick, of the second half. Mahoney fading away.
If Mahoney, he needs to let the offense come to him a little bit. I mean, you've earned the right for a heat check, but a part of what has made him so lethal in the second half is he's let the game come to him.
Miles Tate had it poked. Regains control. Plenty of time on the timer for Butler. Harris against Canfield draws a foul. And 2 shots coming for the Butler freshman.
Good under control drive from a young player. Landed on 2 feet, is able to pivot, go up, draw the foul. He just needs to continue to get into the weight room and get experienced, but the future looks bright for this young dude.
Was All-State in Washington, D.C. 4-star recruit, rated in the top 150, and part of a freshman class that is the highest rated freshman class in Butler program history. And that's saying a lot because, as we talked about in the first half, they once had freshmen named Shelvin Mack, Keelan Martin.
Yes. Kamar Baldwin. Yeah.
The list goes on.
Well, player development is a big part of Butler's program. And if they're talented when they come in, look out. Because by the time they leave, they're going to be superstars.
Can't forget about Gordon Hayward either. Helped lead this program to back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances. Under 10 to shoot now for Creighton. And a foul on the freshman Harris. And free throws coming.
Yeah, defensive discipline late in the shot clock. Slide your feet. You always felt like as a player, Matt, in high school, you can take it from guys if you're guarding, right? You can just take it from them. At this level, it's hard to just straight up take it from somebody and lunge and reach and go for steals. You'll end up in foul trouble, and that's where Chuck Harris is right now.
And for now, Laval Jordan leaving him on the floor with 4 fouls. And simply put, Butler just does not have a deep bench. They have 8 active scholarship players right now. And now Aaron Thompson will come in to check out Chuck Harris. And Jefferson knocks down the back end. Bryce Hinsey comes back in for Miles Wilmoth.
Creighton's done a good job staying attached to Jair Bolden. He's 0 for 3 from beyond the arc. He leads the Big East in 3-point field goals made per game at a little over 3 a game. And so if you're Butler, you got to continue to try and headhunt his man and get him loose, but it's just been hard because Creighton's had great discipline.
Bolden hits his first 3. Had to have it, and he drilled it.
Was that a tough shot or what, man?
Mahoney right back the other way, and how about that response? What a battle between those two.
It's just a matchup problem. You can't figure out if you want to put a guard on him, a big guy. Whoever's on Mahoney is in a predicament because Mahoney has adjusted his game accordingly. The big guy's on him, drives it. Yeah, he has been awesome.
Had 24 last week, has 26 today with 8 minutes to play. Bishop at the top of the key, working his way into the paint, and too easy for Christian Bishop.
The floor is so spread out. You're just occupied with screening actions on both sides. So when you're in the middle of the floor, you got real estate.
Bishop now 10 points on 5 for 5.
5 for 5 is not bad.
No, sir. And in addition, Creighton's just been relentless with their perimeter defense.
Their energy, as you see it again, another steal. Their activity's really increased.
And a roll of the eyes for Jair Bolden. That kind of reflects the entire attitude of the Butler team and the fans at Hinkle Fieldhouse. It's been a lot of this for the Blue Jays. Denzel Mahoney with the new season high 26. And a little bit of 4x4.
Man, that's a man's race.
Well, hang on a second. Look at this guy on the left side with a full head of steam.
I don't think there's any question that you're the more intimidating figure with a full head of steam.
No, I'm barely 5'11". He's got multiple inches, more skill. Good to be back watching our alma maters play a Big East game, right?
There's no question about it. Both these programs, such rich history and tradition. And anytime we get to be inside this building, this is my favorite venue in all of the Big East Conference. And the couple thousand fans that have been here have provided a little atmosphere, but there haven't been a ton to cheer about in the second half for Butler.
They had a ton to cheer about in the first half. Gave Creighton its biggest scoring deficit in a half all season long after period number 1. But the Blue Jays, as you talked about, did not panic. And the adjustments they made to start the second half have been huge.
Absolutely. And if you're Butler, you don't have a lot of firepower, so the margin for error is pretty slim, but there's a lot of game left. You don't got to play crazy and out of control.
Butler trails by 11. Bishop hounded by Enzi. There's the Duke transfer, Alex O'Connell. Rising over Tate, left it short.
Butler, good activity on that possession defensively.
Thompson in the lane, feeding Wilmeth at the basket and a chance at the three-point play.
Aaron Thompson, back-to-back good plays. Little drive and finish on the previous possession, and now the drive and dish for the freshman Miles Wilmeth. I mean, look how far off Mahoney is to Thompson, and you can't get baited into taking jump shots. You drive, you create. Pretty good feel from Mr. Thompson.
Miles Wilmeth, too, my friend. You know, Laval Jordan told us he thought, okay, I probably will play limited minutes this year, if not redshirt. And he's coming off a season-high 24 minutes against St. John's.
And he's got a good body and frame on him, too. He's long. He's pretty versatile. And again, experience is the best teacher. And Miles Tate, Chuck Harris, Miles Wilmeth, these guys are getting a great experience here playing their freshman seasons.
Good deflection from Jair Bolden. 13 on the timer. And out of bounds in a tough spot here for Alex O'Connell. Blue Jays lead it 58-49. Just over 6 minutes to play in the second half. O'Connell, stop and start to the rack. And through some trees on the baseline.
That's a talented dude. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was playing with R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson a couple years ago, the Duke transfer. It's a big-time player.
And he, too, is another guy who wasn't sure he would play this year until the NCAA granted that blanket waiver to all D1 transfers in mid-December. He was playing on the scout team a month ago.
Yeah. There's no doubt. This is a talented dude. And he scored, his career high was 20 points against Syracuse, who was at Duke. He had 16 points last week. He's just starting to settle in, as you pointed out. I mean, he went from, I was a guy that transferred and redshirted. When you're in that mindset of redshirt and you're playing the long game, it is challenging when all of a sudden, boom, you're playing. And it's taken him some time, but he's getting more and more acclimated, more and more comfortable. And that just adds another weapon to this Blue Jay offense.
That's exactly right. Another weapon on a team that was already super talented coming back, had a lot of veteran leadership, and now you bring in a guy who played at Duke for 3 years.
It's
under
almost
Coach
unfair.
Krzyzewski.
Yeah, it's almost unfair.
This is a loaded team, and there's a lot of folks around the country that feel like Creighton can be a Final Four contender right back here in Indianapolis in April.
I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, you're talking about a team that won the Big East a year ago, returned 5 of its top 6 scorers, and then add guys like Alex O'Connell. They're a talented group.
Sharif Mitchell whips it over to Ballack. Ballack floating it up for Kalkbrenner off the backboard, and back to Butler.
I'm with you. I thought that looked like an errant lob. It ended up hitting the rim. Yeah, Butler's only down 10. I mean, you chip away at this thing. They were trailing late. Georgetown at home and found a way to take the lead late.
To this point, they've been outscored in the second half, 35-18 have the Bulldogs. Thompson working on Kalkbrenner. What a move, and it drops down the friendly bounce.
Down by Thompson. Not settling even against a 7-footer, pivoting and getting close to the basket. Feels like Creighton's got to go back to Mahoney. He's been hot, and he's been quiet.
For 3. No, sir, and Miles Tate elevating to rip down the board. Thompson, kick out. Enzi for 3. Bang! And here come the Bulldogs. 10-2 run for Butler. 1,900 strong on their feet in Hinkle Fieldhouse. 5-point deficit.
And it's been all Aaron Thompson doing his thing, getting the Bulldogs back in it. Could we have a good finish here in Indy? Not being denied, even getting switched with Kalkbrenner on him, the 7-footer. Good pivots, good up and unders, and gets one to go off the window. And then did a nice job playmaking, drawing and collapsing the defense. And Bryce Enzi knocks one down. And just like that, Butler making this thing interesting.
Bryce Enzi with a pair of 3-pointers. Who else from Butler can step out and maybe knock down another or a couple? Ballack finds Mitchell. Jefferson now on the baseline. And Wilmoth corrals.
Well, the reality is Thompson's been your best decision maker, whether it's been scoring or passing. But you got to involve Enzi as well.
Butler went 10 minutes without a field goal in this second half. They've since gone 5 of their last 6.
Thompson able to just make something happen here.
Thompson, stop and start, scoops it off the glass, and here come the Bulldogs down by a possession.
Boy, what resolve from Butler on the ropes, and the senior Aaron Thompson has gotten his group to respond.
8-0 run for the Dogs. Mahoney backing down Thompson. Big mismatch on the block. Mahoney off the back end, and Thompson goes down. It's a foul on Mahoney. And that'll be his 3rd. Butler, an 8-0 run, and they trail by 3. We've got a ball game at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Here at Hinkle Fieldhouse, Butler on an 8-0 run. They trail by 3 after trailing by double figures just minutes ago. Nick Baugh getting an explanation from our officiating crew. And the call, Nick, is a flagrant foul on Denzel Mahoney.
And I think it's the right call. I mean, you see Mahoney kind of threw Thompson to the ground with that right arm. And so it'll be 2 shots in the ball.
And the 3rd foul on Denzel Mahoney. Butler could potentially tie this game or take the lead here.
It's amazing how much this game has been a game of runs in this second half. It's been all Creighton up until the last 4 minutes where Butler's exploded on a 12-2 run, and just like that, this thing's getting interesting.
You talked about it early in the first half when we saw Creighton go on a massive 23-3 run. You said they didn't panic because they've got all of these veteran players. How about Butler with so much youth not panicking down 11 to the 8th-ranked team in the country?
But I think a lot of the reason they haven't panicked is this guy, Aaron Thompson. His presence on the floor has calmed everybody down on the offensive end and the defensive end. And so his stat line isn't necessarily jumping off. 14 points, 3 assists. But he has been so important for Butler in just calming people down on the court.
1 possession game, 2-point deficit for the Bulldogs, 3:22 left.
That's good right there. You see Mahoney and Thompson kind of pat each other on the back, making sure there's nothing, no ill will. But the reality is, Mahoney's guarding Thompson. He's got to be ready to defend the drive.
Butler has not led since early in the second half. Thompson on Mahoney. Kick out. And Wilmoth gives Butler the lead. And now they'll check it to make sure it was a three. But nonetheless, it's either tied or a one-point lead for the Bulldogs.
Only his fourth made three of the season. And it's a big one.
Officially called a 2.
And it looks like his foot is on the line.
By a hair.
There. Just enough.
In for your Bulldogs 52, Jair Bowman.
Yeah, that first look, I think, was our best look, Nick, and it did look like Wilmoth's foot was on the line, and that is the call. A long 2 to tie it up at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Well, it's got to be Mahoney if you're Creighton, but Aaron Thompson, one of the best defenders in the country, on him.
Bishop to Jefferson. Mitchell trying to sneak it through. Tied up by Miles Tate, who wrestles it away from Sharif Mitchell. Creighton will maintain possession with 17 on the timer.
I like Mahoney in the post against Thompson. Well, Thompson's going to be good on the perimeter against him, but that strength could be problematic if Mahoney's able to get the ball inside.
Butler riding an 11-0 run. And Bishop took too many steps. Turnover.
Great job by Miles Wilmoth. Did a little stunt and bluff and recovery. Was in his area on the catch, and that caused Bishop to shuffle his feet. Well, Butler's gone back to this little pick, roll, and replace action for Thompson to get it on the right block, or right elbow, excuse me, see if they want to go right back to it.
Enzi, shuffle pass to Thompson, extra feed, rejected. That time by Christian Bishop. Mahoney, who's been so good tonight, walled off, and Mitchell slipped and traveled. Back-to-back turnovers, that's the 10th of the game for Creighton.
Tough spot, and again, that's usually Zegarowski, that's getting the kick out and driving, and Mitchell's just gotten a little sped up the last 2 possessions.
Zegarowski out for the second straight game. Butler calls a timeout. Tied at 60, under 2 minutes to play. Wow, what a comeback from the Dogs.
A great response to adversity for the Bulldogs. And right now, if you're Butler, I think their best offense has been getting the ball to Aaron Thompson in that right elbow area and letting him create, whether it's him scoring or passing. And I think if you're Creighton, you got to trust the percentages, and you got to know who you're helping off of. But Aaron Thompson has done an outstanding job in this second half leading. This is where he's had a lot of success. Driving, pivoting, and creating. They're playing way off him, and he hasn't taken the bait and settled for jump shots. Instead, he's put his head down, and he's gotten to the basket and scored with a pretty good clip. And there was the last kick out to Wilmoth. But to me, if you're Creighton here, understand who the non-shooters are. You can't help off Bolden. You probably don't want to help off Miles Tate, but you got to know where you can plug things up.
Aaron Thompson, 15 points, 4 assists, no turnovers. Enzi, right down to the lane. Tate. No, Wilmoth tips it around, and finally corralled by Mahoney.
I like Mahoney in some sort of isolation or in the post.
Creighton 0 for 3 with 3 turnovers in their last 6 possessions. Short from Jefferson.
settled for that one. Last couple times, Laval Jordan's gone to Enzi. I still think Thompson's the guy right now.
Thompson with the offhand, falling down and kissing it off the glass.
Big time play from the senior.
Butler's first lead since early in the second half. Mahoney stumbling, knocks down Thompson. Missed on the first. Second opportunity, he's fouled. And a lot of contact on the low block. You got to admire Mahoney's grit there, and he's headed to the free throw line for 2 shots.
Well, Laval Jordan went to the action that has worked best. Just this little roll replace, elbow isolation, and Thompson, nifty finish. He's a left-handed player who can finish with his offhand. And he has been outstanding in crunch time, Aaron Thompson. But just too much beef for Mahoney and sticking with it and drawing the foul.
Mahoney, a 75% free throw shooter. A new Creighton career high 27 points, most of those coming in this second half. And we are tied again at Hinkle.
If I'm Laval Jordan, I'm going right back to Thompson. I'm going right back to that same action, little pick roll replace. I think he's going to talk things over with a timeout.
Timeout, Butler.
So a timeout for the Bulldogs. They are now without timeouts. Creighton's played a lot of these tight games. Back on January 2nd, Christian Bishop sees his team give up the lead, tied with seconds left, and he says, the heck with a pull-up. I'm going all the way to the rack to beat the buzzer. You don't see too many buzzer-beating dunks, Nick Bob.
No, you do not. And again, this is an experienced team, been through a lot of battles together, and they've emerged victorious more often than not when they've been in these close games. But now you're looking at a big defensive stop. I think it'll be interesting, the chess move here from Greg McDermott on exactly how you want to handle Aaron Thompson in those isolations.
No
that
timeouts.
has been most successful for Butler.
No timeouts for Butler. They are in the double bonus, so a foul sends them to the free throw line for 2 shots. What a game it's been. This Creighton team trailed at the half for just the second time all season. The last time was all the way back at the beginning of the season at Kansas. In early December, they lost 73-72. And you said this game had to be in the low 60s for Butler to win. And look at where we are with 26.9 left.
Yeah, I felt like 65 was that magic number. If it got over that, Butler was in trouble. And they've done a good job controlling the pace for the most part, and then battling through adversity with a 13-2 run. But let's look at the matchups here as Denzel Mahoney has Aaron Thompson. And you'd imagine Thompson's going to be the guy making decisions. You understand who you can't help off of and who you can.
Just under 6-second differential between game and shot. Miles Tate runs the point for Butler. 5 to shoot. Enzi going to the cup, rejected by Bishop. Wilmus tries to put back. Shot clock did not reset. Tate heaves. No, sir. And we're headed to overtime in Indianapolis.
Heck of a recovery from that guy right there, Christian Bishop, as Enzi got all the way to the basket. But Bishop rejects it.
And the Creighton Bluejay bench is asking for a shot clock violation because the shot clock did not reset. So technically, they may have a point here.
Yeah, take another look at it as Bishop looked like he was beat, recovered. And obviously, Bishop's shot did not hit the rim because it was blocked. Wilmus, the putback did, but not sure what the shot clock situation was at after that.
Greg McDermott pleading his case.
So look at that shot clock in the corner. So Enzi's shot does not hit the rim. I think it should have been a shot clock violation.
Which would give Creighton about 4 seconds to get up the floor and potentially hit a game-winning shot. Officials conversing at midcourt. Brian O'Connell, Mike Roberts, Matt Potter, our officiating crew. And they have said we are, in fact, headed to overtime. Sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Nick Baugh is getting the official explanation. What a game we have had in Indianapolis. Butler leading at halftime, something that Creighton has not seen a whole lot of, trailing at the break. Then Creighton storms back, 23-3 run, putting Butler in a double-digit hole, and the Bulldogs crawl all the way back to tie it at 62 apiece.
Well, I just think it's been all Aaron Thompson. I mean, because we've talked about his ability to make plays offensively, but who's the guy that's been guarding Mahoney? It's been Aaron Thompson. Denzel Mahoney was on fire, and they couldn't figure out who they wanted to put on Denzel Mahoney. And Butler decided to go with a guy that's a candidate for the defensive player of the year, Aaron Thompson, and he has done a nice job slowing down Mahoney. So it's been all Aaron Thompson both ways.
And overtime from Indianapolis kicks off. Butler with the basketball. What a game, what a series this has been over the last handful of years. The home team has won the last 6 games in this series. Knocked out of bounds, it'll remain Butler basketball.
Bishop's done a nice job 2 times in a row, getting isolated and blocking the shot of Bryce Inzie. I mean, it's just been Inzie and Thompson kind of taking turns driving.
Christian Bishop with 4 blocks. Mahoney knocks it out of bounds, and it goes off the foot of Aaron Thompson and back to the Jays.
You see that a lot from Mahoney. Again, 6'11" wingspan. He's disruptive, and he's strong, so you can't be weak with it.
Mahoney leads all scorers with 29. It's a new Creighton career high. Jefferson stop and start on the baseline, and he steps out of bounds.
It just, Thompson being able to slow down Mahoney has slowed down all of Creighton's offense. And you look at it there in the corner, good eyes by the official. Damian Jefferson steps on the baseline and another turnover, but it all started there trying to run a staggered screen to get free up Mahoney in a ball screen, and Thompson's just a man and fights through all the different screening actions.
He's been so good today. 17 points, 4 assists offensively, only 1 turnover. But has done an excellent job D'ing up on whoever his assignment is. Tate off the mark. And here comes Damian Jefferson.
You don't want to sacrifice ball movement, but I still think Mahoney getting the ball in the post is a good place to go.
Foul on the floor.
The foul is on the Bulldogs, 12, Miles Tate. His third, the 10th on
Third
the team.
foul on Miles Tate and the 10th on the team, so now double bonus for both sides. And Sharif Mitchell, the sophomore from Omaha, Nebraska, toes the line.
And Mitchell hasn't had a great day offensively. They're just now his 4th point of the game. But he's done a nice job on Jair Bolden. He's drawn that assignment for the lion's share, especially of this second half, and staying attached to his body and not giving any free and easy looks for the best 3-point shooter in a Butler uniform.
Bolden averaging nearly 14 points per game. Today just 7 on 3 for 7 from the floor. 2-point lead for Creighton.
Mitchell is again just attached to Bolden's body.
Knocked out of bounds. Bolden thought perhaps a foul, but instead it's a turnover.
That's all Sharif Mitchell. I mean, just doing an incredible job anticipating screening actions and fighting through picks.
Jefferson trying to turn the corner on Harris. Pops in the paint and rattles it down. Strong move for the senior out of East Chicago, Indiana.
Just get a lot of traffic with cuts, and Jefferson drives over the top of it. And Jefferson's just so under control at the end of his drives.
Boy, 3 turnovers for Butler in the last 4 possessions.
Just been a little disjointed. And again, I think the ball hasn't gotten to Thompson enough in overtime. The best decisions and results have come when Aaron Thompson's had the rock.
Butler could use a stop here. Jefferson posting up the freshman Chuck Harris. Now Ballack. Thompson pushing the pace. Shuffle to Tate. Rhythm 3, drills it.
But who made the play? Thompson flipping it back, and the one time Creighton didn't get matched up, Miles Tate makes him pay.
13 points for Miles Tate. Mahoney, stop and start, hounded, picked away by Enzi. Gives it to Harris. Euro step left it off the front end. Mitchell, Ballack gives it up for Mahoney. And Enzi hauls down the board.
Got a great look, good extra pass from Ballack. Dodged a bullet both ways because Chuck Harris missed a layup.
Butler can take the lead on this possession. Have not won a game since January 6th in this building against the Georgetown Hoyas. Thompson on Mahoney, threads it to Enzi, who finishes through contact.
What a pass. I don't know how that ball got through. Great play from Aaron Thompson.
15 points for Enzi, and Butler has the lead again. Let's check in with Mike Hill in our FS1 College Hoops show out in L.A.
Hey, the Paul Valpo is tipped off in Chicago. Blue Demons playing just their 6th game of the season, trying to end a 4-game slide. That game is on FS2 and the Fox Sports app, but we'll have it here when you're done there. Great game in overtime, fellas.
Mike, I don't know about you, man, but my heart is fluttering here at Nickel Fieldhouse. There's only 1,900 people here, Nick, but the place is rocking.
But the one guy whose pulse is nice and calm is Aaron Thompson. This guy has been awesome on both ends of the floor. How about this pass? I mean, these elbow isolations, under control, little wraparound, and Enzi strong enough to go up through the trees to finish. I just think Aaron Thompson, when they've gone any sort of isolation situations with him, great things have happened. That guy right there has been a warrior for Butler.
And he missed 5 games in a very important part of the season with a knee sprain he suffered in their Big East opener at Villanova. As you take a look at our game reset, 1 timeout left for Butler, 2 for Creighton. Both teams will shoot 2 foul shots, I should say, on any foul.
Well, again, we got to repeat, Marcus Zegarowski, the preseason Big East Player of the Year, is out for the 2nd straight game. These are the moments where the ball's in his hands. He's usually the guy making the decisions, and a lot of your late game packages, if you're Creighton, have been centered around that guy being on the floor. Well, with him not on the floor, everything kind of changes. And Mahoney's been the hot hand, but it's been challenging to get him the ball. Thompson's done a good job fighting through screens, making the catch difficult. So they started to go to Jefferson a little bit on some drives. I still think that guy right there, Denzel Mahoney's got to get the ball, and I think he needs it with his back to the basket. I think if he can utilize that strength to back Thompson down, he's going to be able to get fouled or make something happen.
Mahoney started the second half 7 for 7. He's since gone 1 for 6, Nick Bob.
And listen, a lot of that has been because Thompson is starting to check him. But keep an eye on that matchup, Mahoney and Thompson.
Creighton trails by 1, less than a minute to play in OT. Jefferson on Wilmoth. Second chance, no, but he draws the foul. 2 shots for Jefferson.
They go with Jefferson on the little isolation, and they got Butler in the right corner, and you don't want to help off him, so there's tons of space to drive. So all the way to the right, there's no help in the area. Why? Because Butler is in that corner, and Jefferson, good stick-to-itiveness to follow his own shot.
Jefferson 11 for 22 from the stripe, and he misses the first. He was 2 for 2 today before that shot.
It's been the one blemish on otherwise what has been an incredible season for Damian Jefferson. He's not shot it great from the free throw line, but here comes a big one.
Short. Rebound, Bolden. Butler controls with a 1-point lead.
Well, partner, I think Thompson's the guy. Right elbow, same look. Don't outthink yourself.
He's got 17 points on 50% from the floor to go along with 6 assists. Tate, hop step. How do you get that to go down? Miles Tate, hello, how do you do? And an offensive foul on Creighton.
What a sequence.
Oh, my goodness.
What a sequence. How about Thompson there on the catch? In Mahoney's grill. Easy call with the right hand extending off. What a job by Aaron Thompson. And now, Creighton's going to have to foul.
Looking for Miles Tate. Instead, it's Jair Bolden. Trap coming. And now Chuck Harris brings it over the timeline.
A lot of time coming off the clock.
And they finally catch him on the arm. That was Mitch Balak. The problem, Nick, is so many of Creighton's players are in foul trouble with 4 fouls. And so Balak had to track down Harris for his first foul.
Chuck Harris at the line.
And now the freshman heads to the line with a 3-point lead. Harris is 76.5% free throw shooter this season.
This is obviously the big one. And Creighton works on these late game packages for threes at the end of almost every single packet or every single practice.
Cool, calm, and collected. The freshman gives Butler a 2-possession lead against the 8th-ranked team in the country. And Creighton has not lost since all the way back on December 14th. You see what that means to that Butler huddle right there. They haven't won a game since the 6th of January.
Well, I just don't know what else you can say about the toughness that Butler has shown. They got punched in the mouth pretty good at the start of the second half, but boy, if they battled to get it to overtime, and then the last couple of minutes here have been tremendous. Aaron Thompson leading the way, but these freshmen, Miles Tate with a nice drive and finish. Harris hits a big free throw, but now you got a lot of game left. Creighton loves a little pen-in action to get a 3, so you got to be aware of that. But Miles Tate, I mean, look at this finish, Matt. Little hop step through the defenders and up over the shot blocker. That's Christian Bishop. That's pretty impressive for Miles Tate.
Tate with 15 points, 9 boards, and 2 assists. And oh, by the way, the freshman, no turnovers. Creighton looking for a 3. It's Jefferson. No good. Mitchell heaves. And Butler pulls off the upset at home, taking down the 8th-ranked Blue Jays of Creighton.
What a performance for these young Bulldogs to take down a top 10 team here in Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Final score, Butler 70, Creighton 66.